Sorry, Risa. I got a drink today.
I think so. I think so. Y'all get away with drinks because we can have water.
And that's water.
It's like liquid don't even really mean nothing.
That's water.
Less when smoke get to flying in there. All hell break loose.
Yeah, that's just water. All right, sorry, I'm gonna show. Well, I stopped my camera. I want to show you my breast.
So you don't want to get no new viewers.
Oh no! Right. Look, now she got a man now. Now that's the one to have respect. And she was still out there. She was still out there throwing that bait out there first.
I can't.
Should have pimped her out better when we had the chance.
I don't learn the game now.
A mess. All right. We ready?
Hold on. Okay, I'm ready.
Boom shakalaka.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Worst Ones Podcast. This is the platform and podcast for the preacher's kids, and those who are considered the worst. My name is Rowland Alexander Wilson. We have Kellie, Leandria, Lee, Janessa, Rihanna, Morton, as you would like it. And she wants to be married to PJ. That was a shot at that. And then
I started his fan club, okay?
And Terry Wayne Brady in the building. Because I don't know Terry's actual name. It's not Wayne, for those of y'all who don't know that. Trivia one day.
Is his sound skipping for y'all too? Or just me?
It was
just me.
No, it was skipping.
It was or is?
It was. It's better now.
It's better now.
Was or is to come. Isn't that scripture?
I just heard it.
Oh, I don't know what's happening. Well, anyways, how you doing, Kellie? Since you calling niggas out on their microphones.
Hey, I'm just trying to follow the producer's direction.
Well, then you better not drink that drink then. I know you heard that clear.
Of a perfect podcast, professionalism, good sound, good background.
You better be like drinking. Jesus and turn that wine into water.
It is water.
On this podcast, your wine got to turn to water.
It is water. I just put it in a wine glass.
Lying on a Sunday.
It is water. It's sparkling water.
That's per overseer Risa Wilson. All right, go ahead.
Exactly. But overall, I'm doing fine. However, my air conditioning is broken in my house.
Girl, and
if you went to church, then you could have a good church fan. You wouldn't be that hot.
It's real hot in Atlanta.
So my thermostat says it is 84 degrees in my house.
You come to my house if you need to. I have a guest room.
It is warm. So I don't know if you guys can hear me fanning. I will mute myself most times. Okay. And my fan in my living room won't work. So I've been hanging out in my bedroom with my fan. But it's still hot. It's hot.
You know, you have like a rotating fan.
Mm-hmm. So like a one on the ground.
Well, you can do this too. If you have some water bottles or like a 2-liter Coke bottle, cut the top off, put some ice in it, put some holes in it, zip tie it to the fan, and it'll circulate cooler air.
That's true. I've done that before.
I've done it when I lived at my grandma's house and she didn't have some central air and it got hot. So I had to get creative.
I had to do that.
I didn't do the 2-liter bottle thing. I just put a cooler behind it, filled with ice.
Yeah, any type of thing. The draft will create a cooler.
Science.
Wind.
That's helpful. I'm gonna have to do that. So where I am now, there's no fan, there's no nothing. So you're gonna see me do this, but I'm here. I'm present. Overall, I'm doing well.
Amen. Praise God. All right. Miss Honorable, how art thou?
I'm doing pretty good. I actually went to Fun Day at New Beginning yesterday.
All right.
Yes, I usually try to go to Fun Day every year if I can, and I went yesterday and I saw all of our pupils. It was a good time.
Hey, man.
I saw Pastor Bowles.
I was about to say, was it a lot of people like that we grew up with, or was it like okay?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
like the adults, it was.
Right.
The adults, I saw a lot of people we grew up with. Of course, I didn't really know too many of the youth, but I did see some of the adults we grew up with. They brought their kids, so that was really good to see. I saw like Ebony.
And just for us who don't know, what is Fun Day?
Fun Day is like a carnival on the church parking lot. They do it I think it's the fourth Saturday in June every year, and then that fourth Sunday is Youth Day, which is like a big. Basically, the youth do the whole service. They got the step team and the dance ministry and the choir, and sometimes they'll have in a guest speaker. Rudy has done it one time. So yeah, it's like a big day just celebrating the youth at New Beginning.
I don't know what that meant.
So yeah, I saw Pastor Bowles. He brought his dog, which was super cute, and First Lady Bowles, and Jason Morton was the DJ, and they were playing. I was surprised now. They was playing music. They was swag surfing on the parking lot. Beyonce's Before I Let Go. They did all the line dances. They did that Do Tamia line dance that I cannot get for nothing.
All them going to hell. All of them.
So it was a good time. I'm glad I went.
Gotcha. That's what's up. I seen Miss Libby had her business out there, her porta potty business. Wasn't that the same thing?
I don't know. I didn't see that.
Yeah, the purple porta potty. They had some purple porta potties out there on the lot. I seen some pictures out there because she got like a porta potty business called like something about my it's like my throne or something.
Sitting on the throne, right?
Yeah, it's something like that.
My goodness.
You know it's something turkey now. You know it's something.
I didn't notice porta potties, but I also wasn't looking, so they could have been out there.
She was like, I'm going inside the educational building. Like I always
Listen, I know where all the bathrooms are.
Right. Absolutely.
Hilarious.
They got access to all the bathrooms.
Right. No,
I love it.
That's what's up.
That was a good time.
That's dope. All right, cool, man. Terry Weezy, what's popping?
Not much. I just started a porta potty business.
There you go.
Outside of Greater Atlanta. No, no, not a whole lot. I've actually been sick, under the weather for a little bit, but starting to feel better today. So
I'm glad you're feeling better.
Gotcha, man. Okay. You cooked anything interesting lately, or that?
No, just easy stuff, antipastas, things like that. Didn't really get into too much stuff.
Gotcha.
I was laid up pretty good.
Did your wife take care of you?
No, not really.
Oh.
No, she does her best, but she works a lot. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Janessa, just real quick on the Fun Day thing. Did Pastor Bowles have on a Lakers jersey?
He did.
Then she had her porta potties out there. It was the same thing. Yeah. And what made me connect, because when I've seen that picture, I didn't connect the dots. But when you said he had his dog, he had the dog in the picture, so that's what made me think it must have been the same event. So, gotcha. Okay, that's what's up.
I need me a little business that I can take to all the church events.
Man, give me a little sitting on the throne business.
I can connect with all the Metro Atlanta churches, and
it's a lot of, especially black church. I mean, y'all got 3 of them. You feel me? Like low
key, I give me a little porta potty. Like, what's something that you need at every event for churches that I can just slide in there? Y'all let me know.
Food truck.
Kelly, I'll do it with you. Let me know.
Some porta potty.
Well, yeah, because what I told you, I'm trying to do my food truck, and that was one of the big things. Was like, I need to partner up with one of these churches and head over there Sunday afternoon.
You know,
around noonish.
not too long ago had a food truck or ice cream truck or something after church. Like
we do
there's
that
definitely a market for it.
I'm not gonna cook. I need something real easy. Porta potties. I just need to find.
You ain't gonna drop off porta potties. So you okay.
Well, I mean,
you can hire help for the food truck.
Ice cream truck is pretty easy. So
I need something real simple. I'm gonna think about that. Come on, who's that? Miss Libby? Who you say?
just see if you can just go in with her. Like,
right.
You looking for investors?
Right.
What's it called? A franchise.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. I can extend us to Berean.
Right. I'm telling you. Why you over there playing? For real.
Right. Let me call Miss Living.
Let me call Miss Living. You said it like you know it too.
Like I know. She know y'all, I know her.
Right. No, that's one of my mama's best friends. So yeah.
Direct access.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Miss Libby.
You got access to the plug. So. For sure, and you know my mama listens to this podcast, so she gonna hear it. Even if you forget to call her, she gonna call you about it.
Right, she gonna text me.
I heard you. I heard you on the podcast. You still trying to get in touch with Libby. Right. Girl, don't wait on that throne business. Now.
Right. All right. That's some blessings in the future.
Right. You on that for real though. But yeah, I'm good though. As far as me, I'm chilling. Sundays are busier days for me, so that's why I was even kind of rushing to try to get back to. Because if we were still in the mode of doing this anywhere, I could have just plopped my computer up, at a more convenient location. But getting back to the studio to look more official, I just my timing was bad. So.
But let's be clear on why we're doing it on Sunday, because Rudy was unavailable on Saturday,
and that's because of the church as well. That's what I'm saying. We had an all day church work day. I was at the church from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. What you want me to do? Stop and do a podcast for 2 hours?
Yes. Okay.
Gotta have a lunch break,
right?
It was like 15 minutes. We had a couple slices of pizza.
Yeah, that's the church.
Little soda.
That sounds about right.
And we got right back to painting. So, but it was lit. We got another one this Saturday coming. So they probably gonna be the next couple Saturdays until a certain checklist get done. I'm just gonna be honest with you. But hey, man, we here. You know what I'm saying?
And thank you for everyone for their flexibility and understanding during this time.
Right.
Because this definitely cut into my after church nap. Okay, when the alarm went off, I was like, this is not what it feel like on Sunday.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen.
All right. Well, that's what's up. Well, speaking of Sundays and church and all that good stuff, Kellie, I'm sure you're a member of this particular church. Is Bedside Baptist the future? Kellie, I think you should start with this one. I feel like you are most familiar.
So here's the thing. So let's start with what is Bedside Baptist? Okay. Because is Bedside Baptist because initially I feel like Bedside Baptist was, Pastor Pillows, First Lady Sheets. I'm not watching church at all.
Pastor Pillows, first. What happened? What does that mean?
Pastor Pillows and First Lady
Sheets. Pastor Pillows. Oh, gotcha.
Pastor Pillow.
I thought you said Pastor Pillows. I'm like, what does that mean? Okay, gotcha.
Pillows and First Lady Sheets.
First Lady Sheets, gotcha.
Right.
You don't know them, Rudy? Everybody knows.
No, Rudy be at church every Sunday.
And if I am in them pillows and sheets, it ain't no pastor or first lady in mind. Amen.
Oh, I cannot say amen to that. I am not in agreement. But
first of all, I was talking about being asleep. That's you. Y'all perverted minds.
Oh my. But right, so I feel like initially Bedside Baptist was not going to church at all, sleeping in. That was Bedside Baptist. Mm-hmm. Now my question is that still the right definition for Bedside Baptist, or is now Bedside Baptist, now that virtual churches are on the rise and a lot of people do virtual services, is that also Bedside Baptist, because I can do that from the bed and watch service?
I feel like that's the conversation, because I feel like, to the point that you're making, it is that transition, and even if somebody did mean in the past that they were just watching TD Jakes from home or Noel Jones or whoever from home, that's still not necessarily the case now, because if you are watching from home now, it's more or less going to be on a live stream as opposed to a past recording. Because, a lot of times when stuff was coming on TBN or whatever what was the other Trinity, or I mean not Trinity, that is TBN. What's the other one? It was another one, Christian Network or whatever. But that different people came on. Like when you watching on that, those have already been recorded. That they've been cut to a certain length. They've been whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then you're getting that. They got commercial breaks. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like watching programming, as opposed to now this is happening in real time, but I'm doing it from the crib. So it's almost like, I ain't saying everybody has this mindset, but you can easily have the mindset of, well, I mean, I'm here. Like I can tithe virtually. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I can get the word virtually. I can still, keep working on my PhD while I pastor preaching and cook for my kids, and you know what I'm saying, and blah blah blah. So yeah, I think that's the conversation. I think both are the correct definition, but the transition, I believe, is happening.
And as we get into it, I guess my question would be, so as you're watching virtual service, is it inappropriate for you to be cooking breakfast for your kids? Is it inappropriate for you to be working on your dissertation, or doing your homework? Is it for that 90 minutes even? Is it inappropriate for you to be laying in the bed?
Right.
For that 90 minutes, do you need to be sitting up, upright,
Right.
engaged?
Right.
Can you move around? Because that's not what you do in a traditional service.
Right.
In the comfort of your home.
Right.
What does that look like? Now, let me be clear. Unfortunately, the Bedside Baptist that I attended this morning, I didn't watch virtual service.
She had apostle pillows,
right.
evangelist sheets. Go ahead.
But I am going to go back and watch this evening. So after this podcast, I'm gonna take a walk. And see, I'm gonna take a walk.
Right. Got to be doing something else.
Kellie, you might not want to take that walk because we got some weather coming through today.
Oh man!
So you might. I don't know if you're gonna make it by the time the rain hits.
All right, so I'm gonna watch it from my living room, the hot living room.
Gotcha. All right, well, go ahead, Justin.
Well, this one kind of struck a nerve because I've gone back and forth with it, and I'm still going back and forth with it because I've said this many times on the podcast. When I grew up, the only time you could miss church is if you were sick or out of town. And even when we were out of town, like with my dad, we found somebody's church. So
Dexter ain't playing that.
It was not. I remember one time we actually thought we went to a service, and it was actually a memorial service. So, yes.
Okay. All right.
Like committed. But then when COVID hit, everybody transitioned pretty much to a virtual based church for some period of time. And so that was our only option. And then as the pandemic got better and, churches started reopening, that's when I feel like for me, the conflict kind of started coming in because I live 5 minutes from my dad's church. Like there's no there's no reason per se growing up, like using the mindset I had growing up for me not to be there. Mm-hmm. And when I first started doing it, to your point, Kellie and Rudy, I would be sitting right here. I have church on this screen, homework on this screen. Mm-hmm. And I felt bad because I felt like I was splitting, like you said, churches. And that was another thing. Church got condensed during the pandemic because they were cutting out a lot of the, I call it fluff. I'm sure it's not fluff, but a lot of the other stuff that was going on, the church announcements. Now it's just pop up on the screen. Altar prayer where everybody comes down they would just pray and keep the service moving. So there's just, at one point, church got cut down to like an hour. And I was just kind of like sitting here I don't have enough time for an hour just to devote to God. Like I got to split my time doing homework and look at church. And At one point, I was cooking breakfast too with it on, walking around the house with it on my phone or whatever,
holding clothes,
all sorts of stuff. And so I kind of felt convicted about it, and I think that might just be my own personal convictions. I don't know, if that's for everybody. So now I've gotten to a point where if I'm watching service at home, I try to, sometimes I'm in the bed, sometimes I might be on the couch, but I try to devote that time to that. I have my Bible out, I'm taking notes, I'm paying attention, I'm not doing anything else. But more recently, I would say the past 3 weeks, I have actually physically gone to church. I went to church today. But I will say that I like the convenience that Bedside Baptist gives you. So church is an hour, and then I can go throw on some clothes and go where I need to go. Or if I'm having friends over, y'all come over by noon because church is over.
The broadcast used to go off right at 11:59. I don't watch the announcements at the end anyway, so y'all can.
That's true. I don't. As soon as the sermon is over, I turn it off. So,
and I know that because I'm in charge of the broadcast, so I know when people cut out. I be seeing when the little streams be going down. Like, hey, announcements.
Yeah, it's like it's convenient. If I need to do homework, I can just quickly shut that off and open this up and keep it pushing. So, but I don't know. I think virtual church is definitely here to stay. I think one thing I did notice, when you are part of the virtual church community, sometimes you do miss out on the church interactions and the maybe if they're having events at the church or something like that, you might miss out. And I think it does to a certain extent impact the way church used to be run. So I was thinking about Fun Day and Youth Day. You have a lot of parents, and I understand that too. With kids, it might be easier to be at home instead of having them crying at church or running around at church or whatever. But then at the same time, they're not participating on the usher board, or they're not in the youth choir, and so it just kind of takes away sometimes, I think, from some of the experiences we had growing up. And I'm not exactly sure what can be done on the virtual realm to kind of be more engaging on the community aspects. I agree with you. You can pay your tithes. You can lift your hands in your house. You can shout in your house. You can
get in the comments.
Right.
Yeah, you can be in the comments.
Amen. Right.
You can still participate in that way on Sunday, but kind of outside of that, I don't know how well virtual church and church activities do well, or how that really is going to work in the future. So that's my 2 cents. That was kind of long-winded. Sorry, y'all.
No, that's good. That's good.
Oh, me? Okay. I think it's a double-edged sword. I think it's fine, morally and respectfully. I think it all depends, like you said, like Kelly said, how engaged you are with it. I know there's certain people, especially in the older community, to be like, "Oh, so disrespectful," and it's like, well, but that's just things progress, they move forward, And I know it's not like the way it was when you were a kid. I think you do definitely lose some of that personal, kind of communal feeling. There's when a church is really going on a Sunday morning, there's an energy there that you just don't get. But if you can get that energy at home, feel free. I do think it's also going to hurt the churches financially, because I think it's a lot easier, especially for a lot of people, to not pay those tithes and offerings when nobody's watching you, because I think it does definitely come. There's some social pressure that when you're there, be like, oh, you better turn in an envelope, So
I can see that.
Yeah. So it's a double-edged sword, but morally, no, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. just to, if you're doing it as if you're just doing it and you don't really feel like going and you're just laying, like you said, with your pastor pillows, and you're just doing it because you feel like it's an obligation, then I think you're in the wrong mindset. And I don't think you should do it at all at that point. Like if you're doing it just because you're like, well, I gotta, and it's like you started off on the wrong lane already. Right. So,
So I got a question about that. So I definitely get not going to church because you feel obligated to. But would you not say it's better to go to church because you feel like that's what I'm supposed to do, or that's a part of my routine versus just not going at all?
Again, if you're just going out of some feeling of like, I don't want God to be mad at me, or if I don't want to look bad in front of the people there, or or if you're doing it from that place of obligation, then yeah, I think it's better if you just don't go at all. That's just my opinion, because none of us knows what God really wants or thinks or whatever, but I very much doubt he just wants lip service,
I think, I can't sit here and speak on how God may feel about actually going in versus watching. Because that's all. We can only kind of go off for, I guess, our perception as far as the humanly view, because some of us, especially if you have a more, just say, traditional mindset, you're definitely going to be leaning more towards being in the building, versus online. But then if you're more, I guess, liberal or whatever, you like, whatever, it ain't that big of a deal. But I do know that one thing I was going to mention too is, as far as like the difference between going in and not going in. A lot of people, I know we don't record or stream the whole service. Like, you getting the sermon. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
You getting the sermon.
You get like the praise and worship, all of that
sermon. If you want all that, you need to bring your ace into the place. Amen. Because that ain't, no.
Rudy, I understand, because I know when we first kind of started, well, after the pandemic, but when it got better, and they opened the church back up, initially my dad was saying they were going to stream like the song before the sermon and the sermon, like they weren't going to do the whole thing too. But I think it had to do more with like the platform we were using and the bandwidth and like the capacity of the whatever we were using. But I guess they figured it out, so now we stream the whole service. But I know there was conversations to only do that part of it. So, there might be other reasons other than just like, y'all need to come. And, it might be like just limitations to the technology that each church has. Because you got to remember, everybody's church is not a mega church with extensive budgets and can do that. Or maybe even have the equipment. Because I know some churches, you got different angles and y'all cutting, doing, like, some people just got that one camera.
Which is us for sure. Like we definitely have the bandwidth or whatever like that to do it. But as far as the different angles and stuff like that, we don't have. Which, to that point that you're making, to me isn't even worth more than just. We used to do the song before and then the sermon, but even sometimes with that, like, there was like, which I figured it out now, but when I first got here, there was like, it just sounded crazy when there was like too much going on. Like when you got drums playing, instruments, all this, and somebody singing, it kind of come through different than when somebody's just talking. You know what I'm saying? But I figured it out now, which it sounds much better, but I still just pretty much get just a sermon. You may get a little singing before, maybe the end of the song. You know what I'm saying? But you pretty much getting just a sermon. But I know for us, we also, I know they weren't initially doing the whole service even before I got there, because just say even sometimes having flow issues. You know what I'm saying? Like, because when that camera going the whole time, people need to know who's next. You know what I'm saying, on program. You can't have no, airspace. You know what I'm saying, and somebody walking from the back of the church or whatever like that. So once again, all these type of things have now progressed, but I just still have not transitioned from doing just the sermon, because to Janessa's point that she made, I would much rather have technology in the sense of more angles and more to look at than just straight ahead and you looking at whatever. So but that's just a judgment. I don't think there's like a right or wrong way to do it, but
Hey y'all, sorry to interrupt, but we have a few church announcements. Follow us on Instagram at The Worst Ones PK. New content coming soon. We also have a TikTok at The Worst Ones PK. No content yet, but continue to check us out. If you want to, when you listen to our podcast, you can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast. So make sure you type in The Worst Ones Podcast and you'll find us. And when you get there, make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, and you share. Thank you to our 500,422 followers. We love you so much. Now, back to the show.
Well, how about this for a different angle? Because I think if too many people just stayed home and did the virtual church thing, then you got smaller audience, maybe no audience in the congregation. Mm-hmm. I think you get a different sermon then, because I remember like that back and forth between the pastor and the congregation, that energy back and forth, that would amp up the sermon sometimes.
For sure.
So when you lose that, you're actually shooting yourself in the foot, because then you don't get as good a sermon anymore.
I mean, at the rate that we're at now, it could get to a point where people won't even have like full buildings for church. Like they'll just have like studios where they'll set the band up in the choir, whoever's singing, you'll have that part, and then you'll cut to the sermon, and people will literally just watch it from wherever they at, because everything is getting more virtual. So church is going to fall in line with that. Like people ain't going to look at church no different, especially if you're providing it, which honestly, with me being on this side of the whole bedside Baptist, like I provide for Bedside Baptist. You feel what I'm saying? And even that is kind of conflicting, because it's like, do I even want to provide it? But it is necessary in instances where, especially like if people are in other countries, you know what I'm saying, or if somebody's traveling and can't, or if somebody's out sick, can't be there, but still want to be able to, but they normally do come. Like, yeah, okay, it's good for it seems, I should say, more positive for those type of people. But if we're then enabling, you know what I'm saying, more and more people to rely on the technology as opposed to wanting to come in, are we feeding the beast or are we providing a good service? You feel what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's all kind of conflicting, but it feels like it's no way around not doing it. You know what I'm saying? But it does kind of,
it's just like with comedy. Like, did you do any during the pandemic? Did you do any of those live stream shows?
The Zoom shows? Yeah, I did them.
Oh my God, I did one. I'll never do it again. It's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, they were pretty trash.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, that's the same thing. It's live performances, So no.
Yeah, but see with us, we demand feedback because we're going for laughter. I'm not even trying to be funny when I say this. I believe not all preachers, but there are definitely some people who, if the money looked the same, or even if not more, they would be okay with not having live, or even they even made AI or virtual, whatever, some amens in there to get a little fake audience in there. But they wouldn't be tripping over no live people if the money looked the same. You know what I'm saying? But if it was hurting the bottom line, once again, I'm talking about some people, not all people, but if they was hurting their bottom line, then maybe they'd be like, okay, we need to actually have a building, get people in here. But some people may even see just having a studio as saving money, because now we don't have to pay all these big electric bills and water bills and maintenance bills and all this stuff. We can just have this little studio, and we got even more membership, because our sanctuary can only hold so many people, but the internet, so we can get everybody. You feel what I'm saying? Like, so I can really see whether we'll be alive to see it or old to see it or whatever. I don't know, but I do feel like at the rate that it's going right now, it could easily get to that point because everything virtual. So why wouldn't church be as well?
And something else I will add to what you were saying, Rudy. Like I know at our church before the pandemic, on Wednesdays we would have free dinner before Bible study. And again, like the church wasn't. I would say my church has never like had a fish fry or bake sale, or everything we do is free, 100%. And by not having certain things in person like we used to, because we're still not fully back operational. Our church population is more older, and so like some people are still wearing masks. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's not quite there yet, but it has, I feel like, allowed the church to kind of pour money and resources into other things that are just as valuable in helping the community. So like we do a food drive every other week. And of course we team up with nonprofits and other organizations, so it's not strictly just coming from the church's budget. But stuff, like I said, money spent on Women's Day corsages or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like Women's Day choir booklet, stuff that like that. Those funds aren't going to that anymore. We can kind of pour it into other areas that are still helpful. We just had we do a reading and math camp for elementary and middle school kids. So we're able to pour more resources into that. So I think like there are benefits, and because it's still kind of new, we're still kind of seeing what the pros and cons of having this virtual aspect of church. But I do think there are some benefits, and like you said, people from out the country, because I'm sure you can see it, but my dad of course looks at where people are streaming from. And there have been some people, across the globe who will tune in that may have never come to our church before the pandemic. Before the pandemic, we didn't do virtual church at all. We didn't stream anything at all. So yeah, I think there are some benefits, but I also think I can, definitely tell, especially when it comes to the youth and young adults, that they are missing from in-person church. And my dad always used to say that the youth were the future. Without youth in your church, the church won't survive, because our parents are getting older. All the kids and mothers and whoever's we know, they're getting older. And who's going to come back and replace those people? And so on that hand, if we're not really having the youth and young adults in church and actually participating, what's that going to look like in 20 years? I don't know. Because I know for my parents in 20 years, they'll be 85. So I don't know.
Right. No, that's
okay.
No. I would just say that's real. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, and I'm like, and I agree. I think that's my thought, is that I think the church can sustain now. With like you said, the older generation that's going to continue to go in person. Even us, who we've been millennials, who were raised in the church, and though I don't go every Sunday, my heart says, Kellie, you need to be in church. Though it's easy for me like to watch a sermon, I can watch it live at 11 o'clock, or I can watch the recording of it at 7. But my heart says, Kellie, you need to be in church. I think for those people younger than us, as Janessa said, like their whole lives have been virtual. And so the thought of going into church, it just isn't going to be the norm for them. And with that not being the norm, right? So what does the future look like in 10, in 20 years? Same. My dad will be 84, 85 in 20 years. He's not going to be pastoring.
Right.
And so, at least I hope not. And so, so he may have one successor, but after that, then it's kind of like, what is the future of Berean? What is the future of, all church? Does it go virtual? Is my uncle, my dad open enough in the next couple of years to have those type of real conversations of what is this really going to look like in 5 years? Because that's going to be on the pastor and the heads and the overseers to have those real discussions of, all right, how do we transition with the times?
Right.
And so, because I, to your point earlier, Rudy, I do see it more as churches is going to be virtual. And I think one of the big things for me that came out during the pandemic is I'm not held to just Metro Atlanta churches. When I can go virtually, I like this pastor out in Colorado. I like this pastor out in Washington, and I'm able to be a part of that ministry, on Sundays. And even, to your point about paying tithes, I can pay tithes to the church now, virtually. I can participate in small groups and Bible study and those type of things virtually. Like I can really be involved and engaged in a whole ministry that is here in Atlanta. Now, do I miss that face-to-face? Absolutely. Again, the way of the world and people 10, 15 years younger than us, that's all they know. And so I got so many kids that best friends or somebody they done met on Instagram or through a video game. And I'm like,
right.
Like, nah, but we talk every day and we FaceTime. Do this,
right?
Like, you don't know this person, but that's the best friend. So that is just the life that they know.
Right.
So I do think that there's going to be a shift, and I wonder how pastors are going to be open to what does that look like in 10, 15, 20 years.
What would you want that to look like for just say you and your family? Like you're married, you got kids. Like, would you be okay with that virtual system, or would you want your kids to have that, I guess, in person?
So I think I would like a hybrid model, to be honest with you. I think I enjoyed the option of going in person and doing the virtual piece. Youth ministry, as we talked about, was such a huge part of my life that I want my children to experience that. Absolutely. And so I do still want that in-person feel. I don't want to be, like I said, involved or a part of a ministry that's in a totally different state, and so we're unable to kind of go in. But I also do like the virtual option as well, and let's gather as a family here in the living room, we don't have to worry about, everybody getting dressed and doing your hair and putting on Sunday's best and the travel time and parking lot and traffic. And, I can take out all of that and we can just focus on church for this hour or hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever. So as a family, as a working mom, I definitely want the best of both worlds.
What you say, Janessa?
So I would probably be an in-person person, but I would probably do something to like what Kellie was saying. Maybe once a month, we might be at the house.
Right.
But I just really am. It's just ingrained in me to be there, and I just don't think I could teach my kids. Y'all can just be at home. Like I don't know how that would work for me. Fun fact though, my mom told me when she was younger, her mother would send them to church. Well, send them to Sunday school. She said they had to go to Sunday school. So like for when they were younger, they only went to Sunday school and then came home. And my grandmother did not go to church at all. And I was like, and I've been going to church since I was that's all I'm saying. But eventually my grandma did and go to church and she got saved and my grandfather did too. But I think I would just be in person just for the fellowship and community. I was thinking at Fun Day when I was seeing all the people that, we literally grew up with. A lot of them, the reason we are so close is literally through ministry. And I think like the couples ministry was the big thing because they would go to different people's houses and have dinner and they would do their own thing. And then all the kids would be in the basement or, somewhere else playing together or whatever. And that's kind of how we developed our friendships. And then of course we were all involved in the youth ministry, the usher board, the choir, the step team, dance ministry. And I just don't know how my kids would get that fellowship and community if we aren't there. If somebody comes up with a creative idea, cool, but like I just haven't seen it yet. And unfortunately, this world is getting so crazy. and I need them to know Jesus. Okay, I need them to know. I need them to know, and I might not always be the best person to teach them everything. I like to think I'm intelligent in a lot of things, but they need some teaching from some ordained ministers, and theologians, and I just think it would be important to get that in person. Now, when they get older, they're going to do whatever they want to do. But while they are under Janessa, Rowland's care, Rowland, whoever, Mrs. Whoever, we're going to be at church.
And one more thing real quick that I wanted to piggyback on that is ministries. I talked about youth ministry for my children, but even for myself and my husband. I want us to be, like you said, a part of the couples ministry or the marriage ministry. I want to do things with the women's ministry and him be a part of the men's ministry. I want to do that. And I feel like at this point, and I was talking to my dad about this the other day, that this age I'm kind of lost in church, because I was so huge in youth ministry and then even young adult ministry coming out of college, coming out of college. But then I moved to, but anywho, but I'm like at 35, I'm not really a young adult anymore.
Girl, that revelation hit me recently. I am not a young adult.
Right. I'm like, I guess I'm an adult. I don't know. A mid-adult. I don't know. But yeah, so I feel like at this juncture, I'm kind of, of course, I could be a part of the women's ministry or the singles ministry, or, with those things. But, as a 35-year-old woman, my mindset now is family, and with that, I do want my family to be a part of those ministries. And like you said, be able to commune and fellowship with other people in person. So ministries, I think in the future is a big thing for me that I don't think virtually. Like I said, they do have small groups virtually, absolutely. But it's still a different feel.
And one thing I also wanted to just throw in there real quick, Rudy, we wouldn't be God, brother, and sister without church.
Right.
The fact that we are who we are is because our parents knew each other before we were even born.
Right. That's
and not just knew each other, we're like really good friends.
Right.
To get that title.
Right.
So that's a whole other aspect that kind of comes with church that we don't think about it, but it's in the name, God parents.
Right.
That came from church. So I want, of course, my kids to have God parents and people who I know and, have the same biblical teachings and thought patterns, mindset. So that's another thing also.
Oh, fast.
Also, lest we forget, there is a networking aspect to church as well. There's a lot of people that go there just to network. We were just talking about somebody's porta potty business. That's how a lot of people get their start, and that's like I have a lot of Jewish friends, and that is specifically why a lot of them go to temple, even though they're not practicing. They're not practicing Jews, but they say I still got to go every week because that's how I make all my connections, and that's how I got my business started, and blah blah blah.
Your Royal Hiney, that's what it's called. Not throne. Your Royal Highness.
That was open.
It just hit me.
That was open.
Kellie, you can still sit on the throne, Kellie. The Lord is still on the throne.
I thought you were responding to what I said for a second.
Well, Terry,
I said I didn't think that was really that self-serving, but okay, Royal Hiney it is.
But to your point, Terry, absolutely. I've definitely gotten opportunities from church people or people my parents know at the church. All those little, what's it called? Those where you got to sell the popcorn and the fundraisers at school. You just take it to church and immediately.
I'm talking about collect.
Immediately make your goal. Like So the church really does play a huge role, you know, when we think about it and we're talking about it, in all of our lives. So you're right, networking, jobs, fundraisers, networking, your Royal Hiney. Shout out to Miss Libby for her business, you know, all of that.
We just shouted out Miss when we get our 500 million followers, they're gonna go find.
I'm telling you. And we need our check.
Right.
and Kelly, if by the end you got some ownership or whatever,
right, exactly.
We know to get it from. You got the check.
That's from Miss Libby.
Right, you get you gonna basically pay yourself. Anyway, well, hold on, wait. I wrote down another note. What I was gonna say. Oh no, I already asked you. Oh, well, that's what I was going. Terry, did you ever answer as far as well, I guess we shouldn't even ask you. As far as raising your kids and family and the other virtually, you probably don't give them.
Why would you say that? Why is it's got to start like that?
Well, I mean, because you don't go now, so I just figured, probably wouldn't really be that big of a deal which one you decided to go to. You probably would just choose either
your
or.
Baby on the way.
No baby on the way yet.
I'm claiming your baby on the way. Your baby is coming. I said, I'm claiming your baby on the way. Your baby is coming.
Okay.
Baby's on the way.
24. Your baby will be here. I'm a prophetess. I can't even say
it. Prophesize, girl. You gonna prophesy?
So I said, I'm
a prophetess.
What's the word?
What? He's just over here just making up words.
A prophet. Is there a female prophet?
Yeah, in second acts.
Yes.
They talk about prophecies in second acts.
Second Genesis.
Yeah, second Genesis.
Whatever.
The 2000th chapter. But yeah, I'll even say for myself, I'll tell you if you can answer after me if you still wanted to. But for me, I don't know what I feel honestly, because I'm on both sides. Like I understand the importance of community and being around people. I mean, even understanding there's a difference between watching LeBron play on TV and watching him play in real life. Like it's a different experience. Like if you're actually at the game versus being on TV, or actually going to see Beyonce perform versus watching it, a recording or whatever the case may be. Like a lot, anything in person is going to always be different. Going to actually to see Kevin Hart or Dave Chappelle or whoever, as opposed to just watching the special. Like it's going to always be a different experience. I even learned that even with Tyler Perry plays, like I've seen some in person, I've seen some on DVD, and though both are enjoyable, it's a different experience. You know what I'm saying? You even get more raw, uncut versions sometimes because they're doing multiple shows a day and whatever. So there is something about going in. And I guess really for me, the broadcast is pretty much like anything else. Like some people gonna use it, like take advantage of it, and use it to not go at all, and because they want to do 50 other things and be able to say they went to church. And some people gonna use it, for what it's created for. You know what I'm saying? Which is to provide it when you either can't make it, maybe you just don't even feel like it that day, which I think is okay. Like to have days you just don't feel like it, but you still want to be able to, I guess, participate, give, learn something, get the announcements about what may be coming up in the ministry that you're a part of, or whatever the case may be. Maybe, your car break down, you can't even get out the driveway. Should you just totally miss church because, something happened or you couldn't make it, or should you be able to, still experience?
I don't think anybody's making the argument that, it's so bad that even if you can't physically be at church, then just don't even bother. I don't think anybody's made that argument.
It's not about that argument. It's just about the fact that when I was saying earlier about me being conflicted because I'm technically feeding the beast, moving towards that one day of what we talked about, where everything would just be virtual and people would just have studios as opposed to actually having the live church. So even for somebody like Janessa, like, will that option even be available? You feel what I'm saying? To go in, or will you just have to deal with, the virtual, or start your own church and make it, and now you trying to be old school. And you know what I'm saying? And it seems old school at that time is what I'm saying. Like at that time, it's going to seem old school because like, well, the girl, that girl got a building. You know what I'm saying? Like they actually be going in there. You remember we should do that 85 years ago or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's, it becomes that. And so I think, that
well, now you're talking about like church hipsters, where it's like, oh, you go to virtual church, then it's just going to get annoying.
Well, I think it's headed that way. That's what I'm saying. But I digress. Janessa, you want to do your Janessa? Just Kellie done got cut out. What just happened?
Oh no.
Well, it's now time for Janessa's Jewels.
Oh gosh, really? Okay.
Put you right up on Front Street.
All right. I do not like this close-up situation. But this week's gem jewel, because whatever, is take the time to adjust. And I hope this isn't something I've done. Is it?
No, I don't think so.
So, of course, pulling from my personal life, I just kind of started noticing that life is changing constantly, whether we acknowledge it, recognize it, it's just stuff is changing, whether it's big things. You get married, a new job, you decide you want to start working out, you pick up a new hobby, maybe you leave a job you worked at for a long time. I'm the type of person who will just keep going. And what I'm learning in my adulthoodness is that I have to take time to adjust. And when you do take the time to adjust, it helps you to not get burnt out as easy, give up, quit. You might not be seeing results like you want to, and, feel defeated. And so I'm just learning to pump the brakes sometimes. You might have to slow down. You can't do it all. And that's not saying you can't ever do it again, but maybe for that season, or, just as you are trying to adjust to something new or something different, you might have to do some things differently. And that's just what I've been trying to do recently. This is a small example, but I had a 4-day weekend last weekend, and I went out one night, and then I had like a cookout at my house. And come Tuesday, I was exhausted. Mm-hmm. And in my head, I was like, but we only did 2 things. Back in the day, I used to be able to go here, and be at work bright and early with all as well. And I've just had to realize, my body can't do that anymore. And so instead, I pick one thing to do. If I'm going to go out on the weekend, I'll pick one thing to do. And then the rest of the weekend, I might be chilling, relaxing, so that come work on Monday, I'm ready to go. And I did that this past weekend, and I feel so much more rejuvenated. And it's, again, not limiting what I can do. Maybe a little bit later, I'll be able to do more. But just for this time being, this is where I'm at. And I'm okay with it. So I encourage everybody to take time to adjust whatever you have going on, so that you can be at your best when you're in whatever season you're in. That's it. Okay,
man.
Y'all, take me off.
Hey.
Take me off.
Hey, man.
Kellie, you all right?
So as you mentioned, the weather has come.
Under a severe thunderstorm warning. I should have texted you.
And my lights are flickering, and my internet is now out.
Okay, there you go.
So, and my phone is not charged. But I'm on my phone right now.
I hope my power doesn't go out, because it's headed towards me too.
Yes. So, well, we can end this one, and then how about the next? I missed the gym, but
take your time to adjust.
Well,
take your time to adjust, girl.
This is befitting because you're still private anyway. So
still private.
At Princess Kels 51 is where you guys can get this exact replica of her. She's there, but she's not. Yep. All right. Jariana.
You can find me at JRihanna_. We have fun over there. When I do go out, I do post it. So you can follow.
Yeah, my lights just went out. I'm going to hop off.
Oh, no.
I don't know what we're going to do about the second one. My phone only on 34%, so I got to preserve it.
Okay.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Bye. But yeah, y'all can follow me at JBrianna_. We have fun over there.
All right. Oh, Terry, my bad. Terry.
It's okay. It's at Terry Wing Comedy on all social media platforms. You can also go and check out the book on Amazon. It's called Unclaimed Ashes, and it's on sale now.
I was supposed to put that up. My bad, Janessa. I forgot I had a tab for it.
It's okay.
Unclaimed Ashes. All right, Amazon.com. All righty. Well, shouts out to y'all. Shouts out to Kellie Lee and her power. Hopefully she gets that figured out. Before
Shortly.
next week. But until next time, we appreciate you guys as always for listening and watching. Make sure you please leave comments and likes and stuff like that to continue to help us get noticed and recognized in the algorithm. So don't only just watch, but make sure you give us some activity to help bring the traffic. We appreciate y'all. We the worst ones. We out.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.